All for you, I'm down and diligent. Just know I'm down and diligent. I'm down and diligent. Ay, mama always working late. Daddy didn't work today. I got all these bills to pay, and I'm not even thinking straight. Probably twisting up a wood, trying to see what's up today. I've been engineering all my music, feeling all type of way. Drowning in my thoughts, I might get lost up in this tidal wave. Maybe I'm just tired of Seattle, I need brighter day. I get way too high, I lose my mind, I'm thinking all type of shit. Look you in your eyes, I see a star, son, your future lit. Smiling at your mama, all in love, that's my type of chick.
Yo, what's happening, man? What's the deal? Y'all tapped into another episode of the Down and Diligent Podcast, known as the D.A.D Podcast. You got your boy Big Day up in here, man. Shout out to my co-hosts, Joey and Dez, man. They ain't here today. Obviously, y'all see, but we are gonna have a good one. I got a great guest. I wanna thank all y'all, those that's been subscribing lately. Subscribers been coming in, those y'all been liking, commenting, engaging. We appreciate that, man. If you could continue to do the same thing as we keep these episodes continuously flowing, man. They've been going good lately. Today, I have a real special guest in here, man. He a solid one in the building. He not just someone who talk about change, but somebody who lived both sides of it. From Northside Long Beach, deep in gangs culture, to finding God during his youthful years, to still catching a case, doing time, and coming home with purpose. This is not about religion. It's about identity, discipline, and transformation. I welcome my brother Greg up in the building, man. How you doing, bro?
Man, how's it going, man? It's a blessing to be here.
All right. It's a pleasure to have you, man.
Yeah.
Pleasure to have you. Got a very dope story. It's gonna be a great conversation, and I just look forward to it, bro. So, just paint the picture for me, man. You coming up, what did Northside Long Beach look like for you growing up, bro?
Growing up in the North, man, it was a good experience that I had growing up. Going to Ramona Park, I was kind of having my cousins, friends, all of these people. We growing up together, playing football for Ramona Park, things like that. It was a family. You know what I'm saying? It was close knit. Everybody knew each other, moms, aunties. Everybody knew each other, kids, families, and things like that. So we kind of grew up close knit. As time went on, that's when I started seeing like things started turning into more of a gang culture for us. It was more so of like just a family, you know. And as time going on, I also went to school, Jane Addams, Riley, all these other places on the north. So just growing up, moving around on the north, it was more so like this is my family when it came to gang culture, you know. Dang, I'm losing
You
it.
good? You good? Man, you good? Take your time,
All right,
bro.
nah, because I'm trying to
Yeah.
exactly. But yeah. So gang culture, things like that, I was able to really like identify like this my where I'm gonna be at, you know. So growing up on the north, that's kind of how it was for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
What age was that? You talked about, gang culture. What age was that you recognized it?
So the first time it was more so like probably around 7 years old. It wasn't Our hood wasn't really established where I was at because I grew up around formerly ex-Crip from touring Crip, right? Around 7 years old, our household was like the hustling house. My aunties, um, one, I didn't grow up with a pops, so I didn't have a pops. My mom moved around, bounced around, and we was bouncing around from different places in the city. Um, Primarily stationed just on the north side, but around 7 years old, it was just like a lot of Crips. If you come from Long Beach, you know it's a Crip city. So it's like some way, somehow, some form of fashion, you're gonna be exposed to gang culture. And in the midst of you being exposed to gang culture, whether it's one hood or another hood, you're gonna end up picking up on certain ideologies at an early age. At the age of 7, I got pictures of me having blue bandanas around my head already, right? This is not something some things I'm doing on my own, but this is also some things that's being instilled in me at the age of 7. In the process of that, me being around my cousins as time go on, you kind of like things start off as a clique in certain ways. They started having their cliques. So as time go on, me being introduced to gangs when I was fully aware of it was around age of 9, right? Like fully in verse. So at 7, the clique started, right? Then at the age of 9, I'm losing homies. My close friend, Chubbs, at a young age, he was like my friend that
Shout out
ended
to
up dying.
Chubbs, man.
At a young age, I'm being exposed to guns. I'm being exposed to shootings and all of these things. I'm going to my cousins is kind of like molding me in this person in a way where it was like they wanted to protect me. So it was more so like making me tough for the streets in certain ways, showing me certain things, but at the same time, it was what they were shown too. So kind of like they being misguided and kind of misguiding me, but not in a way where the
It
intentions
wasn't
was
intent.
bad. You get
Yeah,
what
it
I'm
was
saying? It
from
was like,
love,
this is
like from
exactly,
love.
yeah, it was tough love. And it was more so like, you want to run behind us? Well, you got to be tough enough. You want to make sure you right if you're going to be doing certain things. And they kind of exposed me to certain things like that. I remember when I was 9 years old, I was running behind a female, and we lived in this in the Parwoods. I'm not sure if you're familiar with
Yeah.
the Parwoods. We stayed in the Parwoods, and coming from where I come from and what I represented at the time, or my family, that was considered our enemies, the people who stayed in there. But I'm running behind a female, and we ended up in this gym, and I'm smoking with these dudes, and they considered our ops. Not to me now, but that's just at that time. And I remember my bro and my cousin came in there to come get me because they looking for me, like, man, where Greg at, So they find me in this gym, and I'm in here high, 9 years old, running behind a female, doing all of this stuff. And then after that, they end up DPing me for it because they like, you don't supposed to be around them. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't hang with them type of people, this stuff and stuff like that. And it's also, my mom was like, hey, you over here smoking, I ain't even gonna whoop you. I'm gonna just let your cousins do it. You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of like my punishment by my mom's, and also because my cousins also was like, nah, like, instilling like, that's not what we doing over here. You know what I'm saying? And I understood it was just more so of me running behind a female, being and doing whatever I was doing at that time at that age, and end up smoking, doing all of this stuff. By the time I end up knowing it, by 13, I was fully off the porch now, So I'm fully off the porch and things like that. So things started to change for me in that direction.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you have any siblings?
I do. So I got my big bro Don. That's the main one who I grew up with. Outside of that, my other brothers I have a younger brother I didn't grow up with. He was given up for adoption, and then I got an older brother that stayed in Oklahoma that wasn't raised around, but he was just like a long distance brother.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Understood. So at the time you say you 13 now, you're a little bit more seasoned. It sounds crazy because out here, man, California lifestyle, bro, it's more you groomed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? From a young boy, it's like the older homies, family and stuff, they already got a plan for you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So 13, still a kid, but you seasoned a little bit.
Yeah.
So what did being a Crip mean to you back then at that time? Was it more survival? Was it identity? Or was it respect?
For the most part, it was coming from having family already in gang culture and being exposed to it, going to Ramona Park, seeing people get put on and all of this at a young early age. When I was 13, I ended up moving from the north to the east. I think I moved to the east probably like when I was like 11 years old, right? So I was already groomed, advanced, and I jumped off the porch while I was on the east. But for the most part,
Not to cut you off.
yeah,
bro.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right back to it. I just didn't want to. Can you differentiate for the people that don't know Long Beach
Okay.
culture like that.
Yeah.
The north, the east, and the west side of Long Beach.
Yeah.
What is like the differences and you know, in
Uh,
the cultures and why is it, you know, the north is this, the east is this, the west
yeah.
is this.
It's to me, growing up, it was like a lot of people north. A lot of people didn't come to the north like that. The north like kind of like had its own section in the city, right? Same thing like the east, the west, because I lived all over, right? I lived on the west. I went to school at Stevens. I went to school on the east and went to school on the north, right? So I have multiple friends from each side, but for the most part, um, the North is distinguished because of, especially when it come to gang culture. Mostly all the North of Long Beach beef with the East Side in so many ways, right? Except, well, I wouldn't say even except, but mostly every and then the East Side they kind of shun the North to a certain extent too.
Yeah,
You know
I
what
see
I'm
that.
saying? The West has its own how can I say it? Its own origins of like how they look towards the east and towards the north too as well. Not saying like they cool with the north, you know what I'm saying, in so many ways. Not every hood, but like they kind of like rub shoulders with the
Yeah.
north more than the east
So
do.
in the east.
You know what I'm saying? But like when it comes to Long Beach, in some form of fashion, bro, you connected to somebody.
Yeah.
Like it's hard not to be
Sure.
able to say like, oh yeah, you not connected. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like you know somebody, unless you like a transplant. You feel
Yeah,
me? You just
yeah.
came out here and stuff like that. But whether you from Insanes, 20s, 80s, Twins, or any hood on the north, your family is connected to one of those families
Yeah, most
from
definitely.
those hoods.
Yeah, I see that a lot.
So coming to the east side, I've already had family from the east side on this side too as well. You know, whether they was from Insane or whether they was from 20s and things like that. But coming to the east side, that's where it was like me jumping off the porch, me being groomed, looking at it as it wasn't, it was survival, right? It was survival. Ultimately, it was brotherhood. I believe a lot of people look for gang culture out of some type of belongingness. But that belongingness that I already had was already my family. Like I didn't have to be from my hood. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's my family. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I was already looked at as if I was from my hood. If I was gonna be from anywhere, that's where I was gonna be from. You know what I'm saying? However, jumping off the porch, I jumped off the porch with the Filthies. I'm not sure if you're familiar
Yeah,
with
I'm
them,
familiar
right?
with the Filthies.
So we jumping off the porch, we doing everything the same way. That was my brotherhood, my childhood, where it was like, because everybody in my gang, in the gang culture in my family was already older than me. So they was already grooming me at a young age, and these was the people who I was around, kind of like pushing and leading, in a sense, with gang culture and stuff like that. So in so many ways, it was just more so of me um, living out of survival, uh, brotherhood, and then already having the identity of it because of 7 years old. This is what I've been exposed to. This is what I know. So we picked up those ideologies at an early age.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So and I believe the same the core foundations of it with each other. Everybody who I was around had the same thing because we all kind of grew up in the same pot. Like, you know, when you're
Yeah.
growing up in Long Beach, it's like more than likely if you not, you gonna say cuz you gonna have family members that's gonna represent something, and it's either playing ball, and even if you playing ball, you kind of like still doing that, right? You got
Yeah.
good people who was gang members that made it to the league. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Or they wasn't like fully doing certain things,
Right.
but they was a part of it, you know? So
Right.
that's kind of like how I looked at it growing up when it came to like gang culture and the jumping off the porch and stuff like that.
Okay. Okay. So fast forward a little bit. You jump off the porch, catch a case.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about that a little bit? How old were you, and what was that like?
Really, I think I caught my first case when I was like 13, and
Okay.
it prolonged. And then by the time I was 16, um, I was fighting 3 cases. I was fighting 3 burglary cases, and they was trying to send me to YA. in the process of them trying to send me to YA, I remember, I'm like, man, I ain't trying to go to YA. Like, literally hearing the stories, like, and it was just more so of like, all right, I go to YA, I'm going to either be a way worse person than I am now. And I'm like, I ain't even finna do that. You know what I'm saying? In so many ways where it was more so like, I'm like, my cousin told me, like, if you go on a run till you 18, they gonna kind of drop all the charges. But prior to that, I end up going to court. They like, look, we're gonna put you on house arrest right now. So I'm like, all right, cool. If you don't do this house arrest, then you gonna end up having to take this time going to YA. And my friend, when I get out of court, my friend ended up inviting me to church. Rest in peace to my bro Lionel Gibson. He ended up like, bro, you want to come to church? I'm like, yeah. And mind you, he done came up in the gang culture. He had just stopped banging and stuff like that. He like, bro, just come to church. I'm like, all right, for sure. And he was also on the run too. He wasn't on the run, but he ended up going on the run. So we ended up going to church. That's when I had my first intentional experience with like actually receiving Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. You know, I end up confessing that Jesus is Lord and Savior, believing in my heart that he died and rose on the third day and was born again and had I believe I was sealed with the Holy Spirit, right? In those moments, I did start to make certain changes in my life because I started to build that relationship with God, reading the word here and there, and certain things like that.
So did you feel like it was real conviction at that time?
I
Or did
believe
you feel
so.
like it was church?
So it was more so of I didn't know what I was doing at that time. Like it wasn't the church telling me to do this or anything like that because it was a small church. It wasn't like a big gathering or certain things, but it was more so of when I really had an encounter with Christ when I was in prison. He started revealing certain things that the Holy Spirit was doing in my life and why I was moving a certain way and doing certain things. So it was more so of the Spirit was like I'm like, man, I want to stop smoking. I'm thinking I'm doing it on my own will, but truthfully, that was the Spirit working in me, right? I want to stop hitting licks. I want to stop doing all of these things because it was like, you know, I want to start living a better life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in the process of it, I'm thinking I'm just doing it on my own, but the Spirit will do that to you. Sudden, it'll be like you would think it's always on your own and certain things of court, but sometimes that Spirit it's just that still voice inside of you that'll tell you like, hey, don't go this way.
Yeah, altering your mind.
Yeah, don't.
Feel
Hey,
it.
you gotta watch this or do certain things, and I never seen that. I never knew that was the Spirit inside of me doing it until I had that encounter with God and the Holy Spirit was showing me like and started revealing certain things. So once I did receive Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, I started to make certain little changes. My homies will tell you like when I first wanted to stop smoking, I'm like, hey, look, if I want to stop smoking, if y'all see me smoking, beat me up, hold me accountable, right? So in so many ways, they started doing that. I stopped smoking, things like that. It wasn't like they was beating me up alive like I really wanted to. So times I'd be in the car, they hotboxing. I'm like, dang, I'm kind of suffering, right?
Yeah.
But mind you, I done been smoking since I was like 9. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So and by this time I'm 16, like trying to stop smoking, you know? And I remember it was just to the point where I just stopped doing things and I got off house arrest and I went back into the streets, back hitting licks, back selling drugs, back with the homies, we doing things, stuff like that in so many ways. And when that took place, I went on a run.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, I'm going to go back a little bit.
Okay.
13, you caught the case. 16, house arrest.
Yeah.
What was mom's going through? Do you recall the emotions? I know then you couldn't really tell, probably depict what she was feeling at the time. But looking back, do you see like, damn, my mom was probably going through a certain part of her life that I was making even more hard for her?
For sure.
Do you recall any experiences?
I recall all of that.
To you?
Mom's was like my mom. If everybody who knows my mom know my mom like really cared for us, right? if I wasn't there, she'd let my homies in, like, come on, come in the house. You know what I'm saying? So mom's was more so of like a safety parent. Like she didn't want us to do certain things, but she came from the streets and she like, y'all gonna do it in the house. Y'all gonna do this stuff. And it was and I told her like a lot of parents growing up at a young age, they still growing, learning how to parent.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So in so many ways it helped me. In so many ways it was more so of her like, man, I keep telling you, like, you gonna have to stop running in them streets, doing these streets, because I was back and forth to court. I got a song called Problem Child where I speak about it, where she used to take me back and forth to court. And majority of times her taking me back and forth to court was her losing jobs because she had to call off. I'm catching these cases, you know, at a young age. She got to pick me up from juvenile hall, things like that, or she can't pick me up, so my grandma got to come pick me up. So mom's was like either you gonna get it together or you not. And in so many ways, right? She even like didn't kick me out, but she was like, man, you got to go stay with your auntie in Lake Elsinore, right? You know, in certain ways where it's like, I'm trying to put my foot down, but it's hard trying to turn you into a man because your pop's not here.
Right.
You know, I'm a woman. And I'm trying to tell you certain things, but I also trying to love on you the right way, right? And even sending me to Lake Elsinore didn't do nothing, right? Like, you think it's your environment, but it's really you. If it's you know what I'm saying? Sometimes it can be people environments, but out there, I'm getting into trouble. You know what I'm saying? I'm still hitting licks, still doing certain things. Then my auntie, like, I ain't finna deal with this, so she sent me back. But in so many ways, my mom showed a lot of patience with me. You know, she showed a lot of grace with me. Ultimately, just unconditional love, you know, because it was more so of where it's like a lot of certain parents that just wash their hands with their kids, you know. In so many ways, she was just like, you know, I believe like you gonna wake up, you know, sooner or later you're gonna see certain things. But in most cases, it was just like you got to do that on your own, you know, because by the time I'm already in the streets, it's like, well, you know, I ain't gonna keep whooping you. I ain't gonna keep doing certain things. The only thing I can say is like, man, be safe. Make sure you make it home safe. You're gonna do certain things, do it the right way. If you're gonna be in these streets, make sure you do it the right way. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Not saying I condone in it or I agree with it. It's just more so of like, I can't stop you from doing what you're gonna do, but I love you.
Right.
You know?
Right. I'm here
So,
for you.
yeah.
Know? Yeah, most definitely. So boom. You go back into the streets after you got off of house arrest. What age was it that you ultimately landed in prison?
My first term, I was like 18.
Okay.
18. Then I bounced out, and then I went back at I think I got out at 19. I went right back, and I was 20 at this time, and I was facing 9 years. But prior to that, I really went to jail for some like some petty stuff. And I knew I was on the run. And when I knew I was on the run, it was because I ain't checking with my PO from being fresh out my first term. And I ain't checking with my PO because I kind of felt like something was already hanging over my head. And that me feeling that feeling, anybody feel that paranoid feeling, it's like, bro, I ain't even trying to, I'm using alias names when I'm getting pulled over already. And I remember I ended up going to jail for some petty theft with me and my bro because we had bailed him out. And we went to go do some stuff at Target, get these items. You take them and then you return them, get some money for them and stuff like that to pay for some bail. And we end up getting booked for it. I use an alias name, come back, find out my real name. And in the process of that, they end up sentencing me. I think I had like 90 days. They gave me like 90 days at first for absconding and stuff like that, violation. But in the process of that, I end up going under interrogation. And when I went under interrogation, and the reason why I'm sharing this part is because it exposed me where my heart was at, how callous I was, and things like that. I go under interrogation for some stuff that I didn't even do. Find out they was trying to book me for a high one. They like, oh, we can't get you for a high one, so we got your fingerprints on the flock. And I'm like, man, I don't even flock. Like, at least in Long Beach, I don't, right? And I'm like, man, I don't flock in Long Beach. So after that, I ended up being in a cell, and they take me through this whole interrogation process. And in my heart, like I ain't praying to God. I ain't, like if they gonna book me for this and all of this, and me and my other homie going through this process, and I find myself like just having this callous heart. Like, man, I'm like, bro, if they gonna book us for it, they gonna bang us. We gonna go do life. We gonna come back on the appeal, or whatever the case may be. Right? This is just where my heart is
preparing
at.
yourself.
Yeah, and I'm not thinking about like, oh yeah, this is what it is. And it was just something that didn't have nothing to do with me. But for the most part, I'm looking at it from the heart posture of where my heart was at that time going through that. And I'm just like, dang. So after that, they ended up actually raising my bail to like 200,000 while I'm in jail. And I called my bro. He like, yeah, they raised your bail. I'm like, dang. So then I come to find out what it was for. It was for something that I really didn't even do. I was just there, and my prints was there, my fingerprints was there. So I kind of like took something for something that didn't really take place with me. I just was there, and me and my bro end up coming to agreement like, nah, bro, we know that wasn't you. That was really me, right? So I ended up taking 9 years for something that I really didn't even do. In so many ways, I took that 9 years, like, give it to me, like, bro, I'm gonna take this 9 years, I'm gonna get out the way. But in the process of it, I didn't really start thinking about changing till later on in my time. Like I took the 9 years at 20. When I took that 9 years, I'm like, man, you know what? I'm finna walk this thing down, like whatever it is. It didn't hit me at that time, like, oh yeah, it's 9 years. I'm like, man, I'm finna take this 9 years. I took it,
Yeah.
because in the song I talk about it where it say I took 9 years for my dog and I smiled about it. Truthfully, it made me a better man and I'm proud about it. At that time, I was smiling just out of pain, like, dang, like I gotta take this 9 years. Let me take this real quick. Once I hit reception, I'm kind of like running up amok. Like I'm getting involved in things. I'm squabbling, removing people. I'm carrying knives, certain little bangers, things like that. Just because of my first day in reception, I ended up my bro from 30s, Infant KS. He like, hey bro, it's probably finna go up. Like so, the rep of the dorm told us like, try to make it to the day room. This my first day in reception. I'm like, I gotta do 9 years. Like, and not saying like this not something that I'm not a privy of. But I'm like, this my first day. This is how it is. I'm coming from the county. I'm like, dang. So in my head, I'm like, mind you, I'm not like that big. I'm just still scrawny a little bit, got a little bit of size because I've been hitting my push-ups. But I'm like, I gotta make it home.
Yeah.
So my mind, I'm like, oh no, I gotta survive. Like,
Yeah.
so my main was like, put something up on you because you could feel the tension in the dorm and reception. I'm like, yeah, you could feel it, like, So I'm like, I got to do something, right? So I end up doing things like that, getting into it with the rep of the dorm, stuff like that. Like, and people kept telling me, like, man, you're going to end up maxing out doing that 9 years. Like, you moving how you move, you're going to max out. So once I hit mainline, that's when I was like, I got to really figure out, I really want to change. Like, I want to change. I just don't know how. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's kind of like where everything started to begin, where I started to dive into like finding how I'm gonna start changing.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you this. At that time, did you feel like you failed God or did you not because you didn't fully surrender yet?
I'm gonna be honest. Even then, I didn't. I strayed away from God, like further than I thought. Right. And the reason why was because I started, even though I had that, I believe Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior at 16, I started picking up the cliches that a lot of people say the church is full of hypocrites. You know, I even started to subscribe into, like, I started learning a lot of stuff too. And I'm like, man, Jesus is just a normal man. He ain't this. Like, the Bible just a self-help book. You know what I'm saying? To the point where I'm like, oh, I don't believe in religion. I believe in spirituality. Like, there's multiple ways to God and things like that. So I was far away from God in so many ways. I kind of like pushed that out the way. I still like believe that you can pray and things like that. But when it came to like religion and specifically Christianity, I kind of strayed away from that ultimately. Like, man, I ain't gotta subscribe to just this, like, so it wasn't like anything how you was saying. It was just more so like I just strayed away from it. And I just was like coming up with my own ideologies of how I was looking at things on my own. Um, Hearing the cliches, people was church full of hypocrites, it's this and all of this other stuff. Um, and then not really having my own argument, truthfully. That's really what it is.
Okay.
Like having my own argument.
Right.
Let me really see this for myself.
Right.
So as time went on, um, I'm learning so many things. I'm learning about Islam. I'm learning about Buddhism. I'm learning about Jehovah Witness. I'm learning about all of these other religions, right? I'm really like studying because I got the time to. And as I was studying, I started to kind of get an understanding of all of them, right? And that's when it started to go. I started to go more deeper into understanding Christianity at the origins of it, right?
Okay.
The beginning of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you say because all right, you go in, you hit the reception your first day. You 20,
Yeah.
you 20 years old, it go down. You know what I'm saying? I can only imagine what you thinking for the rest of these 9 years.
Yeah.
Every day gonna be like this. Is it gonna be whatever the case is? You know, I know it's a lot of shit going on because 20 years old, you still a kid.
Yeah.
You know, regardless of how you look at it, you adult in society standards, but you not your brain ain't fully developed yet.
Yeah.
Right? So was prison where your faith got real, or were you questioning everything?
I was questioning everything. That was like it allowed me to be able to really challenge everything. I had to challenge everything. I had to challenge my own core belief systems when it came to like me being and it didn't happen all in reception, but in reception it was just more so like even like, dang, who gonna show up for me? Like I remember I wasn't getting no JPays, I wasn't getting no letters, no mail, and I'm just like, I'm really had to do this whole time alone. This is how I'm feeling, right? And then one day, like, then everything started coming in. If you been a reception, anybody who been a reception, like sometimes it take a long time to get your mail. But this is just something that I'm feeling. I'm like, dang, I'm gonna have to do this time alone. I have to hustle. I was already hustling, doing certain things, you know what I'm saying, bringing stuff back from retherm or whatever the case may be, making sure I was able to survive in there. But going through it, it was just like, I'm like that. I'm like, I felt like I was gonna be a bandit. You know what I'm saying? People wasn't gonna show up for me. I felt like my life was like, I got 9 years. If I do 9 years, I ain't coming home until I'm 30.
Man.
Right, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then don't let me catch a case in here
Man.
doing something. Because then
real.
now, things sometimes that take place, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes some things, even if it's just a squabble and somebody fall and knock their head over, that's
Right.
another case. DA referral. Now you got to fight another charge. Or even if you get caught with I remember the homie had got caught with just a little bit of weed. Now he got an extra charge on top of the time he already got a fight.
Yeah.
I
We
mean,
hear
or
that
he
all the
already
time.
doing.
Niggas
You
get
know
the
what I'm saying?
release dates pushed back.
Yeah, outside of just maxing out their release dates. But so in my head, I was just more so of like, man, one, I gotta make it home. Two, however I make it home, I want to make it home. You know what I'm saying? Whether
Yeah.
if it is 9 years, I'm making it home. I'm not dying in here, or I'm not.
Say that.
You know what I'm saying? But I want to make it home. I also want to make sure I do start to make a change some way where I'm better than. Because one, I'm 20 years old. I got 2 strikes. Felonies, right? At this time, it's like, dang, I ain't how I'm gonna be able to get a job. These are things that you would think of, like I ain't gonna be able to work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I did have dreams of doing certain stuff, or like, being
Think
this.
it's over with.
Yeah, you kind of like lose hope.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, this is what it is. I might have to figure this out on my own. When I did get to reception, when I did hit mainline, the biggest thing that I was being shown was loss. And my first time I hit mainline, I remember I called my mom. My mom answered the phone, hollering like, "Oh yeah, you good? I'm good. I'm good. I just made it to mainline. This and that." She like, "Man, yo, bro died." I'm like, who? I'm like, she like TS. I'm like TS. It's not like registering. This is like TS, like who?
Shout out
Tyreek.
TS, man.
Yeah, long live my bro TS. Tyreek. I'm like, Tyreek, like who? I don't know why I wasn't registering, knowing I know these names.
Yeah.
But it was like, I know I'm fresh in main line, but I'm like, it's not like TS. Like, I'm like, you talking about Tiny Scrap? Like, yeah. I'm like, who killed him? Like, I immediately get mad. Like, who killed him? Like, this is like norm, like, because it's gang coach, so it's like, who killed him? So I immediately get mad. Like, nah, nobody killed him. Like, he overdosed. And I was hurt. Like, like, it's like, now I can't be mad at nobody.
Take your
yeah, you know what I'm
emotion out
saying?
on somebody else.
I can't even be mad. So now it's like, I'm just hurt. Like, and truthfully, the reason why I was hurt too, because like as these losses take place, one, with me and my bro TS, when I was out, he used to vent a lot to me about how he was depressed. And like, bro, like you kind of like out, just us, how we was mingling at that time, we was closing it together.
Mental health is real, man.
It is. That's one thing I do want to like push to share with people, like really check in on your mental health, like, and not even that just as far as men, because men be scared to be vulnerable with certain people. With him, it was a safe place for me. With him, you know what I'm saying? It was a safe place with me. We was able to talk about things. We used to do drugs together, bro. Like we drinking alcohol, popping Xanax, you know what I'm saying? Certain stuff. But at the same time, it was just like, so I understood what he was going through. Like, and we used to do the same thing together. It was just more so like, dang, I wish I was able to be there to holler at bro and be able to talk to him. Cause certain people, he just felt like he couldn't even talk to, express certain things to. But with me, for some reason, he just felt that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I want to ask you, just speaking on that, as black men, right? Yeah. Why do you feel like, what do you feel like have to be provided for us to have a safe space? Like what would you consider a safe space? How would you know that this person is very liable? I could trust them to vent and get their advice on certain things that's going in my life. What does a safe space actually look like?
A safe place, and this also because of the career that I'm in too, I know this, but just in general is one, confidentiality. When I'm letting you know how I'm feeling, I gotta be able to trust. One, that's the trust that has to be there, that I can trust that you ain't gonna go blabber and tell my business to everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm honestly trusting you to share this with you. Two, because when people hold things in, it's due to some type of shame, guilt. These are the underlying feelings that people are feeling. So it's like, I don't want people to see me for who I am. Yeah. So I kind of suppress that. So making it a non-judgment zone. You know what I'm saying? So it has to be some type of trust there. It has to be the trust that I know that this won't leave this place unless it's like, this is just an open conversation for everyone, right? Two, a non-judgment zone. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, I know you're human. You know, you may have done things that you probably may feel like you feel shame of, but that's just something that we all make those mistakes in so many ways. Do you have to identify with that feeling? Nah, you don't. You can actually say, hey, look, I felt that, but that doesn't mean that's who I am.
Say that.
You know what I'm saying? Because we will allow the things we went through define us. The decisions we made ultimately just fully defined us. Where it's like, nah, you can make a change. You don't have to consistently be who you were or the decisions that you made. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I believe that's what really needed to be there. Where it's like, you want to make a safe place that's not judgment. You know what I'm saying? It's just judgment free. And just making sure that they know that we all deal with some type of form of our feelings in a way, or make decisions that we don't align with, that's maybe ashamed of, you know what I'm saying, in some form of fashion, right? Okay. Some people don't in so many ways, but some people do in so many ways. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's kind of like how that, I know me and TS kind of had that. So as time went on, once he died, I kind of went through a little form of depression, like, dang, like, how many people I'm finna lose now? Then I lost my bro, Lionel, right? That's the one who asked me to come to church. Then I lost my bro, Anthony. Then I lost before I lost my bro Johnny, this one my mom's, and I believe, who else? Nah, before I lost my bro Johnny, I called my mom, and she told me, like, call her. She like, you in a good place right now? I'm like, yeah, I'm in a good place. Like, what's going on? Everything good? She like, you sure? I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, don't tell, like, I'm already
Yeah.
kind of like
Feeling the
preparing because
badness,
it's
yeah.
everything is so many things that's taking place of losing people that I'm close to already. And she like, I got a tumor on my spine
Mm.
and it's cancerous. And if they don't remove it in time, it's gonna collapse my body, my spine. I'm gonna be paralyzed, and the cancer just gonna take over.
Mm.
I'm like, and she like, and this is kind of like where I started to really like seek God more intentionally. Even though I had my beliefs, I had all of these ideologies about certain things, and I'm reading about all these other religions and stuff like that. This is when I really like take the time to really like, I need you to show up. I
Mm.
need you to reveal who you is.
Mm.
Like, this somebody that I care for. I know I've placed a lot of stress on her. I'm kind of feel guilty of it. You know what I'm saying? Because she told me I can't deal with you going back to jail again. You know what I'm saying? You my son. I love you. I want to see you live a better life than I was able to give you. You know what I'm saying? And when she told me that same day, I tripped. I crashed out. I end up fighting somebody, taking a phone, and it was a reason why. It was really because a postcard came up missing out of my area, where my bed was at, and I'm like, somebody stole it, and it's like, it's a postcard, right? Come to find out, the postcard is inside of a Bible.
Mm.
Like,
Dang.
literally, when I'm going,
Dang.
and the reason why I find out that it's inside of a Bible is because one of my Muslim partners was like, after I crashed out, squabbled, do all of this stuff, he like, hey, bro, you want to fast and pray with me? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you know what? I do it. You know what I'm saying? So because I'm like, I want to seek God, I want to find God, and I'm like, fasting is. He ended up giving me a book, it was Christian based too. And he ended up giving me a book because his neighbor was a Christian. He was doing it. He was like, hey, look, read this. This is what fasting means. So I'm reading it, and it's basically you making intentional room for God, and making sure that you praying and reading the word of God, right? So him being a Muslim, he just like, hey, look, I'm gonna read this. You could read that if you want to, or you could whatever one. So I'm all right, cool. So I read the fasting book, and then after that, when I opened up my Bible, the postcard was right there, and I'm like, dang,
I
so
whooped on for
yeah,
that.
and truthfully, I'm gonna be honest, it was a draw. It wasn't even like I
Yeah,
did. It
yeah.
was just like, nah. But I end up hollering at bro, like, bro, I apologize, man. I took my accountability, like, bro, I ain't even had to do all of that, even if it did come up. It's a postcard, but in jail you feel. And truthfully, it wasn't because of the postcard.
It was the respect.
No. It was because I was going through what I was going through with moms.
Right.
And I just looked for any
Took it
little
out on
thing. You know what I'm saying? No, this was in y'all was the only two that was in my area.
Right.
So even my bunkie, I told my bunkie, like, no, you got to get it. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to single out my bunkie, and I single out him. And then after that, that's when we started going through fasting. And when I went through the fasting, that's when God really showed up in my life. Like, I had that encounter that I never had with him.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
He start peeling off the callus of my heart. He starts revealing things to me in my mind, where it was like he was showing all the times he showed up for me in so many ways. And I didn't see that. Like, sometimes you can be blind to the grace that God has shown you in your life if you're not really looking at that. Like, that's him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You would think it's your own doing. You would think it's just you, but truthfully, it's really God really covering us over a lot of things.
Most definitely.
And that's when I started having that encounter. I didn't fully change, but what I did start really doing is going through deconstruction, right? And when I mean deconstruction, it's more so of I had to challenge all my core belief systems, my ideology when it came to gang culture, when it came to what I believed in, why I believed in. I believed in these things because one, this is what I was introduced to at a young age. You know what I'm saying? When it came to gang culture. And it's not, as time go on, it wasn't like, oh, I'm not gonna be one of us. I'm just evolving into this different person that God is calling me to be. And I started to reconstruct all of these core belief systems that we put on, that this is our identity, that we have to keep and stay as, oh, I'm a Crip, or I'm a gangster, or I'm all of these things that we subscribe to. And that was kind of like instilled in some of us, right? And for me, it was more so of like, I picked up these beliefs unintentionally because this is just how I raised. Even when it came to like, I'm starting to think like how Malcolm X was. Even before I read Malcolm X, I'm like, I didn't choose my last name. Like, I didn't choose certain things. I kind of just was instilled these things. Even when it came to Christianity, it's like my mom. It's a form of domestication. You get domesticated to believe certain things. Your environment
Right.
put all of these things to you, and it's like you kind of just accept it without even intentionally knowing that you're doing that, right?
Right.
Now I'm able to be conscious and aware of what I'm intentionally accepting in my life. So I had to really like deconstruct all my core belief systems, all my values, things like that, and really do that, finding out my identity of who I am outside of all of this stuff when it came to um gangs and my family and stuff like that. And ultimately, bro, when it comes down to it, we all children of God. In certain, I wouldn't say all children of God, but we're all made in the image of God. You know what I'm saying? God ultimately created us to be in the image of that, what he bears. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, and as time go on, I'm starting to figure this out. And um, like, man, either one or the other is I gotta choose one or the other sooner or later. But I'm still teetering the line where I'm still a Crip, but I'm still going to church over here trying to build this relationship with Christ. And then as time go on, I'm still removing people, and then I'm pushing past where I'm going, reading my word and doing certain stuff like that. And I really started to build that relationship with God. You
Most
know,
definitely, bro. So man, it was a lot of, sounds like to me it was a lot of low moments
yeah.
in your life during your time in prison. But would you say that God met you there, or did you have to find him again?
I would say he met me there, and it was because he knew where I was at, right? I believe that when he met me in that moment, it was because I was like, hey, I need you to show up in the moment when I'm like, now I'm finna seek you, but the word of God says you draw near to him, he'll draw near to you. So he'll meet you where you at, but only if you willing. You gotta have a
Say
willing
that.
heart. You know what I'm saying? Some of us, not even some of us, just me at the time, I didn't have a willing heart at times. You know what I'm saying? It was just like I'm living my life on my own. I'm my own God. You know what I'm saying? Like I ain't even worried about what I'm gonna be held accountable to, if I do die or certain things like that, right? And how far I strayed away at the time. I didn't even look at things like that at the time, like really like reflecting on it. But in that moment of loss, it was more so like, man, I want you to show up for my mom more than anything, truthfully,
Yeah.
right? Me, it's like, all right, cool, but I want you to show up for my mom. But in the process of you showing up for my mom, you showed up for me and showed me, like, he started revealing, like, how far I've strayed away in certain things. And then I'm like, you know what, why I started, how I was believing these things. So I believe he met me where I was at because I had a willing heart to seek who he is and him
Most
showing
definitely.
up.
Most definitely, bro.
Yeah.
I want to jump into the music. Before I jump into the music, I want to ask you this question real quick. Coming home, right?
Yeah.
After doing the time that you did do, transitioning back into society, what was it like? How did people accept you as what you were at that time?
Man, prior to, so before I got released, right, as I was going through the process of like just still banging but still seeking my relationship with God, there was a point of time where I ended up actually like letting go of the hood. And it wasn't like saying like, hey, look, I'm not one of us. Like I said, it's more so like this is just what I'm growing into. You know, um, I still gonna be who I am, how I'm looked at. People probably still be like, nah, bro, still, or he used to be from here. They gonna always identify me a part of my hood because that's just what it is, right? That's not something that I shy away from at all. You know, it's just more so of what I represent now. Like now, you know, I ended up going through the process of where I grown to the point where I remember I was going to fire camp and somebody was asking about one of my homies on the yard. And like, oh yeah, man, what's up with you with Wham? You know, cuz this with you with Wham. And I'm like, bro, where you from? Like, you know, he ended up saying where he was from. I ended up banging back. And when I banged back, I just felt it in my heart that I've grown past. And I believe it was because of the spirit that I did it in too. Just that aggressive, extra out kind of spirit, you know. And when I did that, I was just like, dang, I've grown past this. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been building my relationship with God so much. It was like, you know what? And I also was wrestling with him prior to that. You know what I'm saying? I also had a dream. I remember I had a dream with my bro who I got saved with. And he came to me in a dream, like, take a leap of faith, like, just kind of like let all of this stuff go. And I'm like, man, you know what? I ain't gonna do it right now, but it's gonna take place sooner or later, right?
Yeah.
When I get home, I'm gonna let it all go, right? And it was just more so like I wanted to come in the same, I wanted to leave out the same way I came in, but I wanted to change. And even in my process of change, I even thought like I never seen myself being a full devoted Christian how I am. I'm not saying like I'm perfect, but like this is really my lifestyle now.
Say that.
And in so many ways, it was more so of like I'm thinking I was gonna be a positive Crip where I'm still going to church doing certain things, but I'm also trying to still being with the homies doing certain
Can
things.
you
And
do
it's like,
both? Can you be successful at doing both?
no, I don't believe so. I believe you will be either and this is just I remember my bro showed it to me like that. And he was like, it's either you're gonna be a real Christian and a fake Crip, or you're gonna be a fake Christian and a real Crip. You know what I'm saying? So many ways. You won't be able to
Right.
because there's two different codes that you have to stand on that does not coexist.
Yeah.
Right? And it's the same thing where it's like you're gonna have to choose one or the other. Not saying that you can't go back being in the streets and be of service to your people, but you won't be able to stand on that same code. And some of, I would say not all of them, but there's certain morals that you can take from being a Crip that is honorable just as a man. You get what I'm saying? That you can take, but not all. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So moving forward, I remember I end up after that took place, I end up going back to the yard. I told the homie like, "Hey, bro, I'm turning in my flag." He was the one who had the card for the Long Beach card. He like, "Man, you know, truthfully, you supposed to wait till you get out, but you know we respect you, bro. Just make sure you holler at your homies, like you know. But you already know it's normal program, like you know how we." I'm like, "Bro, I'm already knowing, like it's just where I'm at now." So I end up calling my bro. I end up calling my bro Newski and I end up calling my bro Vince. And they both was like, bro, you know, ain't nothing that come with this lifestyle. Like, you ain't gonna get no return on your investment. And you know this. You know, we all know this, bro. But it's just like, um, it's nothing but pain, grief, and agony, bro. You making a grown man decision, you know, and we respect it. Some people probably felt how they felt. So then after that, I end up coming home where people already knew that I was changed. I let go of the hood. When I came home, I came back home into the same environment, bro. Came back home into the same environment. I didn't have no friends or no family members that was on my walk. So it was a little, I wouldn't say discouraging, but it was like, it was challenging because it's like, how much do you believe in what you really standing on? You know what I'm saying? And can you really show your people the way in so many ways? Because now it's like you kind of like the only person in so many ways. Not saying like they can't see God for themselves, but like in the flesh, it's like more so like, damn, bro really changed. Bro really doing what he doing.
Right.
You know, me being, I used to be an alcoholic, a functional alcoholic. First thing they passing is bottles. I'm like, nah, I ain't even drinking no more. Like for real, like Jesus drunk wine. I'm like, nah, I'm cool, bro. And
Yeah.
a lot of people started to see how much it's like, nah, he really standing on what he
So
believing
they
in.
respect it more. Once
You know what
you
I'm saying?
respect your walk, the
Yeah,
people around you gonna respect it more. But they
e-
see you dibbling and dabbling, but you talking all that. It's
exactly.
like,
And truthfully, that was kind of one of my fears of really taking that leap of faith was I don't want to fail. I don't want to be a hypocrite and put on this mask like, oh yeah, I'm doing this because you will see that in the church a lot, and I expound on that is because people will have this behavior modification and they not truly changed on the inside where they
mm,
really want to do certain things. They'll be fake. They'll put on this mask and do certain
yeah,
things. And that's why a lot of people shy away from religion or the church or Christianity
right,
because
right,
people play with it so much. And I'm like, bro, I didn't play about certain things in the streets. I don't want to play about my faith at
right,
all and my relationship with God at all. Same thing as me, like I don't only represent myself now. Like one, I'm an ambassador of Christ. I'm also a husband. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna misrepresent that. You got people, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna misrepresent that. I'm also a minister, part of Hogma Ministries. I'm not gonna misrepresent things like that too as well. So it's like I came home really like I gotta stand on this. I gotta stand on it 100%. Regardless, not saying I don't fall short or certain things, but this is what I'm committed to
say that,
showing the way, letting go of all of this, and you can make a change. So when people did see me come home, they was like, "Oh yeah, like okay, I see you really standing on that." Then some people kind of like had to slowly but surely, okay, I see exactly. I had a few homies that was kind of mad at me, didn't really see it until they seen like, nah, he really serious, and I see what he
yeah,
on,
yeah.
So that's how I was.
All right, we only got but so much time
Nah,
left, man.
yeah,
But I want to jump into the music. You got a dope project coming out.
yeah.
Can you talk about that? What's the name of the project?
It's called Never Too Far. And the reason why I created that project was because I was actually highlighting when I was 16 how I received Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, and then I ended up backsliding. And I backslid to the point where it was like, I thought I was too far
Yeah,
gone to a certain extent. And I also was like, you know what? Being able to find that, not putting limitations on God, right? Sometimes we'll put limitations on God and who God is because of the people who misrepresented him. You know what I'm saying? Or the people who didn't gave certain things a black eye, whether it's religion or whatever the case may be. But one thing is that when you have a relationship with a God that is unchangeable, he's the same person, then you be able to experience him directly for your relationship. It's just like what a person may say about you may be what they say about you, but me having that relationship with you is our direct
straight up,
relationship.
straight up.
So we don't want to put limitations like, oh yeah, on God if we ain't even built that direct relationship. And that's
Yeah,
kind of like what I want people to um get from this project. Like, you never too far gone for him to redeem you. It don't matter what addiction you dealing with, how far deep in the streets you is, how far away you went in your lust or pride or whatever it may be that you struggle with, right? Or you the lifestyle that you in, that he could redeem you if you seek him. If you draw near to him, he'll draw near to you. And don't allow the devil to say that that's just gonna define you for the rest of your life. You
yeah,
know, that's
yeah,
just who you gotta be for the rest of your life. You can actually be who God created you to
most
be.
definitely. Because that's what he want to do. He want to keep you down,
Yeah.
So I commend that. That's a real powerful message, bro. And I didn't look at it like that. But is your music? Would you say your music is geared more towards believers or the streets?
It's more geared towards the lost, for sure, towards the streets. I believe God placed a mission on my heart, and you see it on my chest. God bless the trenches.
Say that.
Um, because I came from the trenches, and not just that, I'm just trying to just reach the trenches. I want to reach everyone, but I know my heart is for those who come from the same things. And the trenches ain't just the urban communities. It's anybody who going through adversity, anybody that's going through some type of struggle. You could be in Beverly Hills and going through the trenches because you got all this money, but you depressed
Yeah.
because it don't give you no happiness.
Yeah.
You thought you was gonna find fulfillment in this, or
Yeah.
you can be rich and dealing with addiction. You know what I'm saying? So it's really the trenches is just your adversity where you gotta fight these battles, and and that's really what the trenches is. In military terms, they was building trenches where they had to fight battles.
Yeah.
So that's really what my heart is and where my music is towards.
Okay. Do you feel like it's reaching the streets
I,
in the form that you expected to?
man, honestly, bro, I used to. I'm like, man, I didn't really see it, but our not just minds, but even who I minister with, Hog Mob, our message and our music is reaching the prisons a lot.
Mm.
I go back and do prison ministry now, and they see us on the tablets. They see me on the tablets, like, bro, I know you. Certain things, like, bro, your music is doing a lot. Some things, some people on the streets is helping people, but I see a lot of the impact take place
Yeah.
behind the walls when I've been going to prisons and hollering at those who still going through they situation that I can relate to. So
Most
I do
definitely.
believe it's reaching the streets, and it's planting seeds.
Most definitely. Because I listen to your music, right? And it's not just like the traditional hip hop gospel, right?
Hmm.
Because, like you said, it's talking about the trenches and it actually hit home for people like me. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So, with that being said, do you think that gospel music or gospel hip hop, should I say, could go hard without losing its purpose?
I believe so. I believe if you um, being transparent with your story, making sure God is at the center. It don't have to be all biblical Bible bars, but if you telling a real story of what God has done in your life, where you come from, and you don't even got to come from the trenches. You could come from a broken home outside, or just didn't have your parents wasn't there, or whatever your story may be that God has done in your life. You can use that, and I believe that anything that's real, people gonna respect. You
Yeah,
know, that's
most
just
definitely, bro. That's true because it's an audience for everything,
yeah.
you know. But give me one track from this project that mean the most to you, and
That's
break it
hard.
down for me.
Uh, if I say one track, it'll be "Hooked on God." That's
Hooked
one that
on
I
God.
already released. It's out, and the reason why is because it speak about me actually um finding God, backsliding, and then actually back having an encounter with Him, and really like taking this walk serious. And
Yeah,
having a different heart posture. Some things, some things can be um everything else around it is like, how can I say it? It can be just added on to it, but that one is like the more core message of like the whole project and what I want
okay,
people to know. You know what
okay,
I'm saying? So that I would say that's the main one. Hooked on
most
God.
definitely, most definitely, bro. I just got one more question for you, G. For someone who feels stuck between the streets and God,
Hmm.
what would you tell them?
If they stuck between streets and God is on their mind, I'm gonna tell them, look, man, take that leap of faith. You know what I'm saying? Take that leap of faith, especially if you're in the streets. One thing I tell people is like, when we taking risks, that's a measure of faith that God has given to all of us. We just misusing it in the wrong direction.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Because we take our faith, we take a leap
Say
of
that one more time.
that basically, like, when we taking risk in the streets or taking risk in anything, God give us a measure of faith to all humanity. We just using it in the wrong direction,
Mm.
right? And whether you take a leap of faith with a new relationship, a new job, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's a business, we're all taking risk, but the best risk you can take is with God, and it's not really a risk. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
for
Because
sure.
God is solid.
For
With
sure.
your job or with a woman or a man, that's changeable. God is unchangeable. So I would say definitely take that leap of faith with him. You know what I'm
Most
saying?
definitely, bro.
It ain't, you won't fail, you won't be making the wrong decision at all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
that's one thing I will say. Just take that leap of faith, regardless of what people may say or think. Because at the end of the day, truthfully, I'm gonna keep this short. We all gonna be held accountable by a God that created us. Same way we be accountable, whether in our households, to our jobs, or to school, to making sure we live up to these certain standards. Man, we're gonna be held accountable for our action by an honest, just God.
Most
So,
definitely.
we want to make sure we make the right
Most definitely.
decision.
Most definitely, bro.
Yeah,
Man, I want to say it was a pleasure having you, man.
most
Very
definitely.
intelligent conversation, man. Couldn't have went any better, bro. Look, man, project dropping this week.
Yeah,
Make sure y'all tap in, man, to my brother Gregg Styles. This ain't just music. This is his testimony he putting out there. We appreciate you pulling up. Let the people know where they can find you at, where they can find your music.
yeah. Greg Styles _ on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Greg Styles. You can go to my website, gregstyles.com, get all the updates. Also, you could go to hogmob.com. That's the ministry I'm with, where we go out and minister. If you want to donate or do anything for us to share the gospel, we go into prisons, we go into urban communities. We go back into the trenches and really share our testimonies and the gospel with those who are lost. So that's how y'all could support.
Most definitely, bro. Down and diligent, man. Y'all stay tapped in to that podcast. Hit that notification bell so y'all can be notified every time we drop some new heat, man.
Yeah.
We out. Love.
I'm down and diligent.